Now let's take a look at some of the advanced options in the render settings. First, you have this button here that allows you to expand render settings, and similarly this button here that allows you to expand the render queue. Now let's take a look at the render settings. First, we have the render file setting. You can decide to render a single clip or individual clips. If you select individual clips, Resolve will create a folder on your system and will render every single clip into its own separate standalone file. So you will have a separate video file on your system for each individual clip. And if you select single clip, now the entire timeline will be rendered into a single video file. Then you can choose video formats and codec. You have a lot of video formats to choose from. These are your video wrappers. Let's select QuickTime. Then you have codecs. Codecs are actually the compression methods that are used to encode your file, making the file size smaller while trying to retain a higher quality video. These are all the codecs available for QuickTime. I'm on a Mac, so I have some options for ProRes, but on PC you can use DNx HD. Then we have resolution. This is where you determine the resolution of your file. Resolution simply determines how many pixels. So you have a lot of sizes. Full HD has 1920 pixels horizontally and 1080 pixels vertically. So even though you edited your timeline in a certain resolution, you can still export your timeline in a different resolution. Then you can select frame rate. Note that you cannot change the frame rate here. This frame rate was determined for the entire project before you imported your first piece of footage. After that, it's locked and you cannot change it. This is something important to keep in mind. Then you can change the quality and size of your exported file by restricting the allowed data rate for your file to a certain number of kilobits per second, or you can set it to automatic. Then you can change the length of the gap between keyframes in your file. These are different than keyframes we used when color grading. These keyframes are used by the codec and they affect the quality and size of your file. More keyframes, a larger size file, a higher quality image, and easier to playback. Less keyframes, lower quality file, and it's a bit harder on your device for playback. Then you have advanced settings. Here you can select settings like pixel aspect ratio, whether square or cinemascope. For the most part, you want to keep this for square. You can also select data levels here, which will restrict brightness levels in your image to certain levels based on your delivery method. And these are some of the options in render settings.